Hey everybody, it is Erica, Goddess of Magi, and I am back. Needless to say, Mercury retrograde kicked in, and the video that I had tried to do for you guys apparently didn't save, so this is my take two. All right, so let's get started. We're going to talk a little bit about the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Now, even though we're a little bit late, we're not that late because this energy lasts up to 6 months, okay? And you have to look to your actual birth chart to see where it falls. This is happening, it actually happened, okay, May 16th at 12:13 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there was a square to Saturn, which is happening in Aquarius right now. So Saturn is transiting the sign of Aquarius. If you didn't know, now you know. And the square is also with Mars. No, I'm sorry. The square is with Saturn, and then there is a Mars-Neptune trine. Okay, so this brings positive energy. We're going to talk a little bit about the solar eclipse. We're going to talk a little bit about Jupiter. We're going to talk a little bit about Mercury retrograde, and we're going to talk a little bit about lunar eclipse in Scorpio in this video. So, this eclipse is happening in the 25th degree of Scorpio. So depending on where that falls in your chart, that's where it's going to be activated, and that's where you're going to feel it the most. In addition to this, because it's Scorpio, there's a lot of hidden information that's going to be coming to the surface, a lot of revelations, insights, intuitions, that you're going to be able to examine and go in depth and look into deeper, because Scorpio is that sign of depth. It's the sign of digging deeper below the surface, right? Underground. So anything that you can think of underground relates directly to Scorpio. So when I mentioned the square with Saturn, this is actually a T-square from Saturn. So you're going to need to slow down. You're going to need to kind of go into deeper thought about things, and patience. Patience, patience, patience. I can't stress that theme enough, because I see a lot of astrologers going into information that, helps, but at the same time, they don't go into the nitty-gritty. So what you really need to consider right now with this aspect to Saturn is patience, especially depending on where this lunar eclipse is falling in your chart. You also have to look to Saturn to see where that's falling in your chart, to see where you need patience in. So with that being said, Mercury retrograde is having us think before we say anything, think before we act. And any ideas, inspirations, and insights that we happen to go through during this time, it requires us to go deeper and reassess, reevaluate, refocus. Okay, so that's what Mercury retrograde is all about. Any retrograde is about reevaluation, but because it's Mercury, it's dealing with the mental, it's dealing with the ideas, the conversations, the actions, how you assert yourself, even though it's not Mars. So don't get it twisted. All right. So because this lunar eclipse is so heavy, wherever it falls, there's going to be some sort of emotional upset, some sort of shock, maybe surprise. This is about, when I said revelations and things coming to light, it's also about just that shock value where it's like, oh my God, I had no idea, right? So you have to think about that moving forward. And with the lunar eclipse, it's time to let go. It is time to release a lot of old things, old relationships that just no longer serve a purpose. And you just have to align with who you are moving into the future. You have to let go of certain things. It is what it is. And with this energy, there is a power dynamic at play, especially in certain people's houses, because again, you can see this play out in Scorpio, Taurus, I want to say Aries and Leo. But you're going to see this play out really if you have Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun, Scorpio moon, Taurus rising, Taurus moon, and Taurus sun. Those are the two signs that are most affected by this lunar eclipse in Scorpio. This is also a culmination because, as we know, any full moon deals with a culmination of things, an ending. So with every ending, there are new beginnings, new insights, right? A new goal, a new path, a new focus. And Jupiter ushers in those things at the end of April, which, again, guys, I apologize. But I'm sure if you're into astrology, you have seen these things throughout multiple people's social media, different astrologers, that the Jupiter Jupiter transitions into Aries towards the end of March. And it was around the time of the new moon. So it was offering, I guess that's the word, bringing in new opportunities, new things that bring us joy, expansive energy in the house that Jupiter fell in your chart. And we will touch slightly on that, okay? But not too much right now. So just know that Jupiter had a positive aspect at the end of April, and that energy is still being felt throughout our charts, depending on where Jupiter fell. And for each sign, I'm going to touch slightly on Jupiter, slightly on Mercury retrograde, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the lunar eclipse. So this is just kind of a general overall for those aspects that happen that you might not be too familiar with, because everybody knows it was the lunar eclipse, but do they know how it's happening in their chart? Do they know what's happening for them specifically? Okay, so first and foremost, we're going to talk about Scorpio, and the lunar eclipse is happening in your first house of self. All right, there's new beginnings through other people. There might be like some shocking or unexpected changes and news, maybe changes in partners' lives or dealing with partners, business partners, lovers, people who you're working very closely on projects with. But because this is also aspecting your seventh house, there could be, with Jupiter here, an opportunity for a new business partnership, okay, or a new lover. You have to shed your attachments to older ways of being, especially out in the public, especially with your partner, your business partners, if that is what your career path is. So it's not just shedding your older skin, but primarily focusing in on the seventh house, because it is happening in your first house, and you have Jupiter, you have Mercury retrograde, okay? And you need to focus on letting go of toxic ways of being, toxic ways of relating to others. And you might lose certain parts of your identity. You might just let them go, because this full moon is about release. It's about letting go of something. And with it being an eclipse, you're letting go in the first house at that. You're letting go of major parts of your personality. So this could hit various houses in your chart. All right. This is for Scorpio rising. So you're learning to balance what you value with, power dynamics and control of certain situations. You have to understand your income. You have to understand what you value. You have to understand these things, because all of these things are ruled by Taurus. Okay. So if the lunar eclipse is happening in Scorpio, then obviously there is some Taurus energies offsetting that, opposing that lunar eclipse because the sun is in Taurus, right? Okay, so with that being said, there's a lot of things that you will be shifting in your first house of self. Taurus is over there in your seventh house, and you might meet someone new because Taurus is ruled by Venus. It might be a dominant female figure, a woman, whether it be a new woman business partner or a woman partner, like a lover. You could meet somebody new, so someone who's going to help you, elevate you. All right, let's talk about Sagittarius, because Sagittarius, the lunar eclipse is happening in your 12th house. So you're releasing some addictions. You're releasing some attachments to the past. You're releasing some karma. You're releasing some need to be withdrawn or staying at home, kind of withdrawing into yourself, okay? Because you have Taurus over opposite in your 6th house, okay? So you have this better energy when it comes to work. You have this better energy, this action-oriented focus when it comes to a new routine, especially dealing with your health or work or service to others in some way, maybe even your pets. Maybe you start taking them on more walks. But with the lunar eclipse here in your 12th house and Jupiter aspecting your 5th, you're going to feel more inspired, vibrant, and ideas, like these creative insights, because Jupiter is aspecting the 5th house. There's going to be so much creative insight that you're really going to need to write it down. You're going to need to sit there, even if you don't write it down, maybe do a vision board, whatever it is that floats your boat. But either way, you're going to have to write these insights down because you feel a new excitement brewing within you. And whatever it is, you have to follow it. You have to go after what is exciting you, what brings you joy. Again, we talked a little bit earlier about Jupiter, how it's bringing joy, how it's bringing enthusiasm and expansion and optimism and all these great things into the house that is aspecting it. So with that being said, with Jupiter aspecting your 5th house, there's going to be lots of dating opportunities if you are single. If you're not single, this is an opportunity to fall in love, take your relationship to a step higher, to the next level, whatever you want to call it, because Jupiter, again, is bringing expansion, optimism, happiness, and the 5th house rules over relationships. In addition to that, you might be developing better relationships with your children, better relationships with your interest groups or like your hobbies, because 5th house rules hobbies. So you might be expanding your interest in your own personal hobbies, which, needless to say, sounds fucking awesome. It sounds fun. And this is a time for you to just improve relationships, whether it be romantic relationships or relationships with your children specifically, because again, this is 5th house. So whether it's one or the other or both, this is the time to improve those relationships. And you might find, if it's not a new hobby, maybe like a new purpose in life, a new drive, a new momentum towards something else. And this is asking you to step up and analyze that and really go for the gusto, okay? Because this is passion. 5th house is also passion. So whatever is moving you towards more happiness, more action, follow that. Capricorn, this is for Capricorn Rising. This is happening in your 11th house. So the lunar eclipse is happening in your 11th house. But you also might have changes and new beginnings, new relationships, and new creativity here, but with social life added, okay? So you might be going to more events, networking, and this is something about your social life really taking the lead, if you will. Maybe not the lead, but definitely stepping your game up socially, going out with more friends, and doing a lot more things out in the public arena, whether it's going to different events, going to different museums or whatever. This is the time for you to get out there and have fun. You have to follow your heart with this aspect. Because if you're not following your heart, then what are you really doing? You can't listen to others. And sometimes you might want to listen to others, but now is not the time to listen to others. Now is the time to write down your goals, do your research, do what you need to do to prove to not only yourself, but other people that you got this. You really don't need any other help or assistance. And sometimes that assistance can be or seem condescending. So what the fuck do you really need it for, right? So Capricorn, this is the time to really reassess the information that you're receiving from others and take your opinion and take your insight, your experience, and add that to the situations that you find yourself in here in the coming months. Again, this lunar eclipse is lasting up to 6 months in all of our horoscopes. So it's best that we do our best to apply these little tidbits. Okay. Capricorn, there might be some issues or a crisis or something shocking happening with your social circle. So you might find yourself backing up or just deliberately separating yourself from certain people or certain social groups, certain people who you tend to network with in this time, because they're just not aligning with your values. Sun and Taurus, they're not aligning with any type of way that you can bring yourself money. Again, Taurus, right? They add no aesthetic, no value to your life. So with the lunar eclipse, it's like time to let them go. And you just have to consider that, because you might have to terminate friendships. And it is what it is at the end of the day. With the property, there might be some changes. Maybe you're thinking about a move or reorganizing, maybe not reorganizing, but maybe remodeling of the home in some way. So this can trigger your 4th house, okay? But be careful, again, because Mercury retrograde, you do not want to sign any documents. You do not want to rush into any contracts with anybody, especially dealing with a home. Not right now. So wait until the summer to make a decision. Aquarius, this is happening in your 10th house, okay? So with this happening in your 10th house, there's going to be, again, with the 10th house aspecting the Taurus and the 4th house, there's going to be some sort of issue dealing with the home. Maybe a crisis in or around the home, or you need to move, switch properties, do something with your property. You might need to remodel. You know, these are just some things. Maybe you're trying to sell your home and there's a delay. Those types of things can happen with this aspecting your 10th and 4th house. This can also aspect your career, your job, okay? What you're doing, your reputation. You might need to let go of certain ideas that you have for your career, certain things that you're doing to try to earn a reputation, but it's not working for you, right? You can try and try again, but that doesn't really matter at the end of the day if you're not making progress. So you might need to let that go. You might need to let go of the need for recognition in the workplace, because you just might not be getting it the way that you feel like you deserve or the way that you want. This might cause a change in your career. Okay, some sort of crisis. Maybe not even a change in your career. Maybe you just switch departments or switch teams or something to the like. Either way, toxic people are going to be exiting your path, whether it's in the workplace or at home. Okay, so you can bet on that, Aquarius. You can also maybe see yourself, because the full moon is culmination, it's endings. You might be completing a goal relating to your career or just completing a project at your job, something like that. There could also be a power struggle, okay? Dealing with the 10th house, it could be a power struggle between you and an authority figure. Was that a bug? Anyway, you and authority figure, you and your father or your father figure. This could be your boss even. So be careful of disagreements when it comes to those particular authority figures. Pisces, this is happening in your 9th house. So you're going to have, because of Jupiter, you're going to have new beginnings in your 3rd house, okay? So you might develop a new skill set. You might develop new friends. New neighbors might move into the neighborhood. You might get a new car with Jupiter in your 3rd house, or maybe get your car fixed, or take a short excursion, a short trip somewhere, like a day trip or a weekend trip. You might also get more clients in business. You might also develop more ideas for business or incorporate social media or marketing, advertising in that realm with Jupiter aspecting your 3rd house. Okay. With the lunar eclipse happening in your 9th house, there might be some religious beliefs or some spiritual, path that you're on that you might begin to reevaluate, that you might let go of, you might reassess. And this is the time for you to really hone into that spirituality. Really listen to what Spirit is trying to tell you, because with or without your permission, like it's going to be what it is, right? So the more you adapt and the more you accept what Spirit is telling you and guiding you towards, the easier it's going to be. Because right now you're kind of getting hit with a lot of revelations, hidden information, maybe information that you didn't necessarily know, because again, like I said at the beginning, Scorpio is bringing up hidden information, insights. So you might be seeing some things for what it really is, and you're just like, oh, I don't know if I can fuck with that. And that's okay. But it's touching your 9th house. So like your religious, your spiritual, philosophical beliefs could be ready to be let go of, ready to be released, so that you could focus on something else, something different, the next level of where you need to be spiritually. You need to release these toxic beliefs because they're holding you down, essentially. And with it aspecting your 9th house, this could also be maybe letting go of an opportunity to work overseas, to deal with people overseas, commerce overseas. But there could be toxic people overseas, not just, toxic beliefs, but toxic people who you're interacting with, especially at a long distance, because this is aspecting the 9th house. This could also be religious teachers and spiritual leaders that you're finding yourself at a conflict with, and you're needing to release them or let go of them or let go of your relationship with them in order to be the best you. Aries, this is happening in your 8th house, okay? You guys are really feeling excited. You are, oh, what did I do with it? Hold on. Okay, here we go. You guys are feeling excited. You are really in tune and connected to this lunar eclipse, just like Scorpio and Taurus. You guys are so connected. And that's a beautiful thing, because the lunar eclipse is happening, and this might bring you an opportunity to study or learn something new. This might be an opportunity to develop a new skill set by going back to school, or maybe it's not school, maybe it's training, doing more training and elevating to the next level in wherever you're at in your career path. So you guys are seeing way more clearly because the intuition is feeding into your chart. So pay attention to the messages, pay attention to the dreams. This is the best time to really tune in and connect is during the eclipse. And it is vibrating your chart, like literally. So you have to just plug in and just feel the vibes, baby. But it's bringing you love and luck. It's not just spidey senses and vibes and, an opportunity to learn more and study more. This is an opportunity for love and luck in all areas. So you might see clarity in dealing with other people, especially when it comes to other people's resources. So whether you're getting a loan, whether it's an inheritance, whether it's whatever it is, a grant, there might be some information that pops up that you weren't prepared for, but you have to adapt to that situation. There could be sudden changes in debt, the inheritance, taxes. You might have to let go of some sort of resource of somebody else's because it's aspecting your 8th house. You might also have to let go of trauma, okay? Your lack of, I hear my dog tap dancing down the hallway. You might have to let go of I can't think of the word. Oh my God. I can't think of the word. Okay. I hope it comes back to me. Oh. But because this is aspecting the 8th house, there is a lot going on with other people's resources, with your money, but the money specifically coming from other people. So whether that is a grant, a loan, a personal loan, not just government, because it could also be government. This is really dealing with kind of taking a loss in that department in some way. Maybe a loan didn't manifest the way that you had expected it to. Maybe a loan wasn't as much as you had expected, or maybe you didn't get the loan at all. It's kind of letting go of some of those things that you were expecting from that 8th house. Intimacy, that's the word. Oh my God. Okay. So this could also be letting go of trauma related to intimacy issues. And, the need to reconnect with somebody because, let's see, with the 8th house, the Sun in Taurus is happening in your 2nd house. So not only do you need to maybe let go of some trauma dealing with intimacy issues, but you might need to re-examine your values, your diet, the income that you make, especially if you're relying on other people, 8th house, to assist you in some way, whether it be with your business or just personal loans. Taurus, this is happening in your 7th house, and this is a very intense energy for you guys. So I'm sorry right off the bat, but it is what it is, right? Taurus is the sister sign of Scorpio anyway, so they are opposites on the zodiac. So you have the Sun in Taurus. With the Sun in Taurus happening in their 1st house, you have the lunar eclipse in Scorpio happening in their 7th house of relationships. So they're getting it. Them, like I said at the beginning of the video, them and Scorpio are feeling it the most out of everybody in the entire zodiac. It is aspecting other signs, but not so much as Taurus and Scorpio. With this here, you could see new beginnings in your relationships, in your contracts, in your business partnerships, in how you're being seen in the public eye, because all of this relates to the 7th house. And you might also have an opportunity to travel, but travel in terms of vacation, not necessarily work. This is time for self-care because it's an aspect in your 7th house, Venus. Okay? Watch your indulgences because you might be like on vacation. You might be chilling and, you know, doing the most, going overboard with maybe sleeping and gluttony and drinking and whatever your vices are. This is just saying practice moderation when you vacation and when you have a break from your day-to-day routine during the next 6 months. And although you're finding pleasure in staying home and everything like that, you really aren't spending less. So this is a time for you to really rebudget yourself. Take a look at your finances. Are you overspending? Why are you overspending? Can you cut down the cost? Especially if you can't afford it. If you can't afford it, I mean, obviously you still need to look at your budget for a particular reason. But if you really can't afford it, then it's like, what are you doing? Pay attention to your dreams, okay? Because not only can you be losing money and possessions and finances because you're not budgeting correctly, but you could be losing other things if you're not paying attention to your dreams. There will be hidden messages, downloads coming in through your dreams, and it might feel like a bombardment, you know, initially, but at the same time, it is for your best interest. So try to keep a dream journal. Even if you just create notes in your phone, just try to keep track of your dreams, to keep track of them in real life and how they're playing out, how that information is being conveyed, okay? Because this is also aspecting in the 7th house, you might see some sort of power issue, like a mismatched power dynamic or a crisis dealing with your partner or in your partner's life, your business partner, even in a contract. Maybe there was some miscommunication or some sort of, you know, miscommunication is the best word that I have for it, folks. But maybe there was some miscommunication dealing with your contract, dealing with your business partner, dealing with what you have planned for the future. So make sure, especially with Mercury retrograde, that you are rereading contracts before you sign them. Make sure whatever it is, whether it's school, work, a new purchase, a new investment, make sure you are reading the fine print, folks. Because the lunar eclipse is here aspecting the 7th house, you could also see an ending of a relationship, a business partnership, the end of a contract, the end of a project with somebody else here in the 7th house, Taurus. But let's move on to Gemini. Gemini, this is aspecting your 6th house, but Jupiter is in your 11th house. So let's talk about this. There's going to be rewards and gains coming, okay, because of a job well done, because of what you have done up until this point. Because lunar eclipse is culmination, it is letting go, it is release, it's endings, prepared for the new beginnings. And this is one of those new beginnings because you're going to see more money from your efforts. Your reputation and your recognition is being built right now, whether it's at work, because this is aspecting the 11th house, it's more so in the public arena. So again, whether it's at work, whether it is in your local area, whether it is on social media, you are getting more visible. Okay? What the hell? Anyway. So you're going to have more public recognition. And you might see new friends, new social organizations that you might want to network through. This is the time, because it's aspecting the 11th house, that you really want to put that Venus charm in there when you are networking new organizations, new people, and so forth and so on. Because, again, you want to put your best foot forward. You don't want someone thinking negatively of you. So you spread on the Venus charm. You spread on the what's the word? The niceness. I don't know. Is it very nice? So either way, you're going to want to put that charm on, especially when you're networking, going out, meeting new people, because you never know who you're going to meet. This is the time for you to really branch out, Gemini. So you're going to meet people who are more beneficial, have higher positions, who could assist you in your goals, okay? And this can help you. Again, go out. Now, because this is also, the lunar eclipse is in your 6th house, you might have to let go of some sort of routine you have. Maybe you have to let go of some aspect of helping other people who don't help themselves. Maybe you have to let go of some sort of habit that you have that is bad for your health, because the 6th house is health. There could be a crisis with your health. There could be a crisis with how you deal with helping others, and thus ending relationships with coworkers, with other people who you're helping, that kind of sums up the people. But breaking those bad toxic habits that you have for your health, that is one thing to really consider during this time, okay? And Gemini, last but not least, you could also not be letting go of people, but certain jobs, certain work projects, because this is the 6th house, okay? But you have to release these toxic things one way or another, as we all do during this time. Cancer, this is happening in your 5th house, and Jupiter is aspecting your 10th house. So you can expect a promotion, some sort of recognition when it comes to your reputation. Opportunity for your career is going to spring up because Jupiter is chilling in your 10th house. But you have a very subtle influence over others. So now is the time, like I told Gemini, now is the time to kind of schmooze with everybody. Now is the time to butter people up. Now is the time to really lay it on thick, okay? And you might, because this is happening in your 10th house, you might have to take more authority over something, or maybe you get a promotion again, but you're contributing something to the external world, something to the public, because that's the 10th house. And you might have to dive into research. Maybe you have a more occult focus, or, you know, more paranormal focus in what you're doing in your private time because of how this is aspecting your chart. But you could see some sort of crisis in relationships because lunar eclipse is happening in your 5th house of romantic relationships. And again, this is probably not the person who you were destined to be with forever and ever, amen. You know, but you could be releasing some sort of pain, some sort of toxic attachment to previous Mercury retrograde, current relationships, okay, that just are no longer serving their purpose. Like you're beyond that now, okay? With this aspect in your 5th house, your children can be completing something. Your children can be going through something. Not just a romantic partner, but primarily your children. So pay attention to what is happening with your children, because you might need to assist with the lunar eclipse. It's something that you also might be helping to let go of, get rid of, right? Leo, this is happening in your 4th house. So there's opportunities, because this is also aspecting your 9th house. There's opportunities from foreign places and from respected authority figures. There's new optimism in spirituality. I'm sorry, so 4th house and 9th house, not 10th house. And with this new optimism in your beliefs and spirituality, you might be seeing things in a whole new way, a whole new world, like that type of vibe. You're very in tune, you're very connected, and you're really saying, you know what, this no longer serves me, so I need to let this go. And this is more of a spiritual activation for you. As I said, Aries, Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus, you're being activated heavily. So with this aspect in your spiritual house and your house of home, family, mother, this can be a crisis or a shift in your house. This could be something happening with your property. This could be, you know, something happening with your mom. This can be difficulty in the home, not just with your mother or with the home itself, but in the home with those who reside in the home. There could be sudden endings here. You know, you having to let go of certain things pertaining to the home, pertaining to your mother, or pertaining to your property. And there might be old friends, Mercury again, wanting to reconnect with you, but you have to focus on what you're doing with your newfound spirituality, your newfound information with spirituality. You might keep the same spirituality. Some people might change it, but you might keep it. And you have to think about, like, what is it that you're pursuing with that? And what the fuck is going on with your home? Because you got to get that shit straight too, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, you know what I mean? You have to figure that out. Virgo, this is happening in your 3rd house while Jupiter is aspecting the 8th. So basically, good luck when working with others, okay? Because this is about receiving help with others. With Jupiter in the 8th house, people are more willing to help you. They're more willing to invest in you, especially if you're trying to get a loan or a grant or something like that. People are more willing to hear your plight and empathize with it. So this is the time to really get support, especially financially, through an inheritance, etc. This is other people's finances. So good news whenever it comes to grants and loans and everything. So that's really good for you guys. But you're going to have these income gains from others. So keep that in the back of your mind. Because this is aspecting the 8th house, Jupiter's here. So that means lots of healing from trauma, from any type of issues dealing with I forget the word again. I forget the word again. Oh my God. Anyway, we're moving on. With any type of trauma, dealing with your insecurities or anything of the like. I can't think of the word. I keep trying for you guys, but it's not working. So whatever. Anyway, Virgo, you're going to really be feeling some emotional clarity, and these traumas are being healed because Jupiter's here. But at the same time, you're going to be increasing your connections with others here because you're going to be receiving not only finances, but gifts from others as well. So this is the perfect time to really get what you want. I hate to say it like that, but it is what it is, right? And we have to accept that. But your focus is in the 3rd house. So you might have to redo projects. You might have to reassess people who you call your friends, maybe even your relationship with your siblings. There might be some sort of something you have to redo with a plan or an idea or some sort of social media campaign, like marketing in that respect. There might be some sort of you might get new neighbors because you're letting go in the 3rd house. So you might be letting go of neighbors. You might be letting go of some travel plans that you had that just fell through. And with Mercury retrograde here, of course, you can expect some delays in those areas. But honestly, there could be some hidden information popping up, dealing with your car, dealing with a plan to travel, dealing with an idea that you had or a project that you had with others, your siblings. Any one of those things can be affected because it's happening in your 3rd house. So yes, lots of shock and awe in the 3rd house. Libra, this is happening in your 2nd house. So there's going to be new beginnings in the 8th house with mutual resources. So again, investments, support from others. Take what you can get, apply for those grants, apply for those loans. Now is the time. And you got to let go of a specific way of making money because the 2nd house is where this lunar eclipse is happening, and it's how you make your income. So you have to let go of maybe an idea that you had for making money that's just really not conducive to who you are or what you do. This is figuring out maybe you have different values now. Maybe you have a different taste for something and saying, well, this is who I am now, and kind of owning that and accepting a change in how you earn your income or a change in your diet even, because with the lunar eclipse here, this is letting go, release in the 2nd house, which deals with what we put into our mouths, our diet, literally. So you might be releasing some bad eating habits, or maybe there's a crisis. Maybe you get food poisoning, or maybe there's a crisis with your income, your job, what you do to make an income, and now you have to figure it out. But you are attracting new people, new business partners. Lovers in particular can bring you luck right now. So if your partner is like, hey babe, let's go to this. Yes, we will go. We're not going to debate it. I'm going, no questions asked. It is what it is. So maybe your partner can bring you luck in, meeting other people to finance your goals, or to support, or, sponsor something that you're doing. This is also about romantic encounters and kind of feeling more lovey-dovey with Venus aspecting here in the middle. You have to think about certain friends, certain maybe even lovers coming back from the past, because it's activating that for you. And if certain romantic encounters are worth it. Is it worth it, or is it just something that's just happening just because, right? So you have to really evaluate romantic encounters at this time, along with, how you're feeling. You're feeling more sensual. You're feeling more lovey-dovey. So it's like, oh, okay, I don't know. You gotta take a step back there, and it's okay to reconnect in certain ways. With this aspecting the 8th house and the 2nd house, there could be changes in travel plans. But also just pay attention to your finances, because again, this is aspecting your 2nd and your 8th house. So, I'm sorry, your 2nd, your 7th, and your 8th house. So there could be a crisis with your finances, whether it be your partner's finances, your finances that people are giving to you. What we see, Taurus in the 8th house. So they're more likely to give you finances, but there could be a delay or some sort of miscommunication going on with that. You might be releasing something that you used to hold very dear to you, right? You could be releasing value to a certain thing, to a certain interest, to a certain person, to a certain way you make money, because this is in your 2nd house. So you might really need to just release some of those things in order to move forward here with this lunar eclipse. But again, we have Jupiter aspecting it, bringing this more benevolent energy to this otherwise chaotic, fucked up shit we call life. But all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. The first video was actually a little bit longer, so I do apologize that I kind of ran through this, but Mercury retrograde in Gemini. I have Sun in Gemini, Mars in Gemini, so my shit was just like, error. And I had to accept it, but here's the video. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. Please comment and tell me what you think below, and I will get back to you, and we will hopefully start a dialogue here in the comments. Please go ahead and like and subscribe to my YouTube if you haven't already. The little bell in the corner. If you are not following my Facebook page, please go ahead and do so, because I try to focus on more of the longer lasting aspects of astrology and tell you how that's going to affect you, because I feel like those things are just a little bit more important to other mundane things that we know we're getting each month. So with that being said, I love you, stay witchy, and hold on tight for that lunar eclipse energy.